然后主要是要。
Power, 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 power. It's always the first priority. I found a piece of the meteor.
Now these beasts will be torn into pieces.
Insta-kill! Die, my pretty! Die! Your screams are so erotic!
Demon hold nicely.
Can it be the TG3? The TG3 that's just for me?
Carpenter!
Such a beautiful tool of death! So much blood! Yes! Yes, my pretty! I like the funny noise it makes!
Down, boy!
What's good? Oh, nothing much. Yeah, we can do that. What's your name? Alright. I said, what's good? He said, oh shit. Oh shit, that's so fucking stupid. He said, yo, ain't nobody got him back. I said, what's good? I said, what's good? He said, oh shit. Oh man, I love fucking with folks on the damn game. I said, what's good? Oh, I thought you were drinking beer this morning.
Oh, man, don't do that no more, Chuckwagon. What's
No,
up with you?
nothing much.
You alright?
Yeah, I'm good.
Everything good? How that hand doing?
Yeah, that's straight.
What you got? You supposed to wear something on it?
Yeah, I be wearing my glove on. I be taping it up then with my glove on.
Alright, now you gotta do every damn thing you can. Keep that hand right now. Boy, you ain't see that boy signed for $330-something million for 13 years the other day?
What you do?
Damn,
What you do?
damn baseball.
Oh, you talking about Bryce Harper? Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Man, I seen that shit. I was like, damn, boy, my son, he told me, daddy, man, if I knew what I know now, I would stick to baseball. Hell, football. Look at this door your mom talking about like that.
Yeah, she broke it.
How'd she do that?
Kicked it in.
Hell, she could hit the ball. Yeah.
Hey, I'm ready whenever you ready. Hello? 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 Oh, alright. I'm ready whenever y'all ready. I bet. back.
You are cursed. You must place your hand upon the stone.
I don't think this is a dream.
Maybe someone should go turn on the power now. Oh, I found the rock. Great.
Fire's up.
The film must have been shit. This place is full of stiffs.
Double points.
Reach for vodka tonight! Boom! You are dead! You got slime on my uniform! You capitalist hell pigs! Die! This will make demon holes nicely. The Red Army cannot be overrun.
Insta-kill.
Hadib Newts, hell pigs! Die!
Nah. Chandler. Chandler. Chandler.
Fetch me their souls.
Come, Suka. I have vodka for you. Oh, look at how shiny she is. Ah, I got spur in my mouth. Whoa, die, demon spawn! Just what the doctor ordered. Hello, zombies! I am coming for you! Why can I see so clearly now? That smells disgusting. Like my fourth wife. She pretty, though. Pretty and smelly. Weird combo.
Max ammo.
Why am I so heavy now?
Fire hail.
My tap is now doubled, but not my vodka!
Hey.
This is proper socialist reform! What's that smell? Maybe I shorted.
Kaboom. Fetch me their souls!
They are trying to fetch our souls again! No soul for you! Die, Helldog!
Max ammo! Kaboom! Insta-kill!
It is happy hour! Don't slip in the slime!
Insta-kill! Double points!
Budem zdrovi! Let's stay healthy. Die by the hand of Nikolai! Hey, the rhyme.
Where you at? Alright.
A weapon like this will end them in a hurry. Come, baby, we do the 59, eh? If only I had time to piss on you too.
Double points.
Vodka for everybody! Greedy capitalist dogs, give me ammo! Right between the Gaza!
I'm gonna cut him up. Kaboom. Fetch me their soul.
Let's play fetch the grenade, demon spawn! Why is no one caring about my lack of ammo?
Max ammo.
running low on ammo. I'm drunk. Either I'm good or I'm drunk. I hit 2 zombies with 1 bullet. Slime thing, die, die! Будем здорові. Let's stay healthy. When did I run out of ammo? A sniper rifle makes for much cleaner killing. I never met an MG I didn't like.
Shit.
Beats a hammer and sickle every time. More bullets, more drinks. This is not so bad. Time to die now, zombies! All I like is pretty. Exactly what I need. Da! Boom!
Where you at?
Taste communist aggression, filthy worm train!
Oh, shit.
You got slime on the... He's crawling back to me. Just like good woman, eh? Nikolai is coming for you! Oh, that smells disgusting. Like my fourth wife. She pretty though. Pretty and smelly. Weird combo. Like wheat before sight. Die, slime thing! Die! Die! If this were Russia, it would be free. Just big lines. What's that smell? Maybe I shot it. Die now, son of a bitch! Slip in the slime! Waiting is good. I can have more drink. Hurry, 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 hurry. Come on. Don't worry, guys. Nikolai is coming for you. Oh, that smells disgusting. Like my fourth wife. She pretty, though. Pretty and smelly. Weird combo.
their souls.
Down, Suka!
No chance, bone monkey. Max ammo. Insta-kill.
I'll drink to your death!
Kaboom.
Ah.
Hello. What, nigga?
Yep.
Fire sale. Double price.
I made a very big mess. My aim is straight. My vision is blurry.
Hey, Maggie.
Come on, pack a punch. You better hurry up. It's about time. Now this is what I'm talking about. Man, I wish we could replace Richtofen with a hot chick. I'm getting lonely here. Weapon of the victorious.
Tell why you just like the thunder gun, it'll blow him back. Sick. What's good? Ma! Phone!
What's that smell? Maybe I shot it.
Ah!
You know how to say Om in Russian? Om!
Oh, your karma has improved.
Die, slime thing! Die! Die!
Anakorobi, okay.
meditation time over.
You had no chance, bone monkey. They're all around me. That'll even the odds.
Don't slip in the slime!
good to go now. Stuck on this bar for like 20 minutes.
Ma'am.
Or longer. Just trying
Ma'am.
to get past those guys without getting alerted.
Ma'am.
I don't know.
In that room. We should be in that room. Not my room. That room. That room.
Did you, Block? Finding your good sense of manliness. Or small-scale geoengineering. Come along, then. I'll call a vote at once.
Now, let's just watch for camera.
I knew you'd come.
I got lucky, by the way.
Block?
'Cause I didn't see that camera.
You know I'm right. The analysts at my father's think tank have been grinding the data for months, and they are rarely wrong. The Karuna Agreement, climate litigation. We estimate that fossil fuel companies like yours have a decade, at best, before you're all resigned to the junkyard of history. And what kind of secret society would we be if we didn't keep each other in power?
What indeed?
I knew we could talk sense. Just vote in favor of my motion, and I promise you, Block, you'll power the world for decades to come. But who cares how, as long as you're the one getting paid.
Ain't that the truth?
Are you... You're kidding with the cameras, man! See, the thing with this game is there's stuff, it's just like the old Mario games where you can't possibly know what's going to happen unless you've already experienced some of it. With all the surprises and stuff.
Come on, then. Call a vote at once.
I gotta remember to ask questions. Do this again.
I knew you'd come around. You're stubborn, Block, but you're not a schmuck. You know I'm right. The analysts at my father's think tank have been grinding the data for months, and they are rarely wrong. The Karuna Agreement, climate litigation. We estimate that fossil fuel companies like yours have a decade, at best, before you're all resigned to the junkyard of history. And what kind of secret society would we be if we didn't keep each other in power?
What indeed?
I knew we could talk sense. Just vote in favor of my motion, and I promise you, Block, you'll power the world for decades to come.
Well, this is onward. Ain't that the truth?
There's literally no other way. Alright, I'm gonna have to meet her up there.
Let me know if you need anything, sir.
We've been on the run for months.
There has to be another way for me to get up there.
So, brain upload, huh? Living forever as a string of code.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Not in a million years.
We're up to having a meeting without me. All because I don't know how to get up there.
Looking sharp today, sir. You know this is state of the art. Now, I don't know how anybody can get past this.
I don't know how to get over there.
Manual tells us architects only. What's the worst? Good day to you, sir.
Is there more staff? Look at that. Look at it. Look at what I had to do.
Ain't that the truth?
Friends and family, the recess is over. Let's return to the council room and proceed with the vote.
All right. Oh my God. All right. I hope there ain't no more cameras. I don't think there is, at least for now. Probably end up falling her head.
Not now.
Now I'm paranoid. Go ahead and sit down, take my seat. And we just gonna be quiet and let him talk.
You've certainly placed yourself at the crossroads of history. Nicely done, 47.
Let's reiterate. For decades, you, the titans of the energy industry, have conspired to obscure the truth about climate change through lobbying, misinformation, and propaganda. This strategy has been incredibly successful, but all good things must come to an end. It is time for you to adapt or die, ladies and gentlemen. This is why our analysts have devised a 10-year transition plan to keep you in power. Play this right, and you will not only thrive, but this time, you will be the good guys. In other words, you have nothing to lose. So, everyone in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Yea or nay, Block? Silence is consent.
I messed up on the vote last time, so I have to redo it.
Nay.
Excuse me?
You heard me. Nay.
Oh, for the love of... Idiot. That's 4 ayes and 1 nay. Jebediah Block vetoes the motion.
All right, this is what we wanted.
This council is adjourned until further notice. Block. A word? Upstairs. Right away, please.
I voted yes, and then she didn't invite me, and she just kept walking. So you have to do that so you can have her tell you to come up with her. Well, at least if you wanted to use one of the environmental kills. Oh my God. Stop trolling me with the cameras, man. Lord.
Excuse me?
You heard me. Nay.
Oh, for the love of... Idiot. Son of a... That's 4 ayes and 1 nay. Jebediah Block vetoes the motion. This council is adjourned until further notice.
The last mission we did...
A word? Upstairs.
The last mission we did, I knew where the security stuff was, so it wasn't too big of a deal when we got caught by that camera. But I do not feel like looking for security equipment in this fortress, because that's exactly what this feels like. I ain't got time for that. Is there a way for me to get... Wow. Wow, I made it past. Amazing.
So, are you gonna tell me what the hell you're playing at?
Just looking out for number 1.
Don't be an idiot. There's no future in coal, Block. You have one choice. Go green or go extinct. Now, personally, I don't give a shit if you go the way of the dodo, but you are one of the Ark Society's biggest contributors. We'd hate to lose your business. Besides, If terrestrial cold goes under, who will pay for your children's survival? Your grandkids. After all, nobody says disaster will strike in our lifetime. You have a moral duty to stay rich, Locke.
Nice try. But I don't have grandchildren.
You just had to make this difficult, didn't you? Here's the deal, Locke. My family and I, we serve a group of powerful individuals who prefer to stay anonymous. Letting the climate go to hell in a handbasket has served their interests well, but only up to a point. You see, they are sitting on some patents that'll knock your socks off. Weather control systems, recycling pollution as fuel, cold fusion, you name it. And they plan to make trillions protecting the world from the very threat they worked so hard to create. But to do so, they need you guys to quite literally stop fighting windmills.
Ah, the truth at last. And what's in it for Jebediah Block?
Gentlemen, please give me and Mr. Block a moment.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Leprechaun little shoes.
I offered you a carrot. Now, here's the stick. We know about Montana, Block. The mine collapse in 2015.
Both targets down. Impressive work, Bruce. And now,
2015.
Both targets down. Impressive work, Bruce. And now, to confirm the questions.
Okay.
What's your status?
I'm at the helicopter, but the place is crawling with security. 47, you better bring the Constant to one of the boats in the harbor where it's quiet. You can use the kill switch to coerce him.
That is an option. Let's do it, though. Alright, first, dumbass camera. I don't even know. Alright, we made it past the camera. Now all we gotta do is talk to dude and follow him out.
Sir.
Nobody's gonna say anything about me jumping out the window.
The Washingtons are dead. I have the kill switch. You say? How could you know about that? You will head towards the harbor. No sudden moves. No signs. Or warnings. I will trigger the device if I need to. I know you. The boy in the picture. Yeah, those eyes. Alright, what's this first? Move.
Get a move on it. Now for the rest of this, all we're going to do is follow him and watch for cameras. There's only one that I know of.
Not just that. He had it coming. Interesting. It was my impression that you procured such Doctor, is specific to target the seeds of your emotions. Has Miss Burnwood's sense of justice rubbed off on you? Just keep walking.
He got the Shinobi.
Oh, don't mind me, sir.
Jadis always found Lord Blair's project distasteful, not to mention inefficient. But alas, sometimes you have to play the hand you're dealt.
objective for the entire walk. How you doing? You just did it.
What's up?
This is not an ICA sanction mission. What is they just misburned their plan to achieve by targeting audience? Violating her own code. She's doing it for us.
I know you're supposed to feel something, but the fact is,
Who knows? How does a man leave no trace by not existing in the first place? Lucas Gray. Was it Subject 6? He died when the Institute went up in flames, but no body was ever produced. Anyone like him is real. So, now for what the wonders behind the curtain that caused you all this pain.
Man, I don't do voices.
Where you go?
Crazy.
Humor is not overbearing.
Whispering, she just out here whispering sweet nothings. I'm tired of hearing his shit. And I know you low-key want me to get busted by one last camera, but it ain't gonna happen.
now I know how to do it. Don't worry.
It's like Cash. We are almost there, folks. Very, very close. Hardly. Music's getting louder too. There's no cameras out here. Guys, I'd like to thank you all for watching another walkthrough. All three of the games we've been playing, we just beat in a matter of a couple days. So be on the lookout for Resident Evil, and make sure you vote on the poll. The next classic walkthrough is on there. It might take a little detour, but whatever y'all vote is definitely going to be one of the next couple games. So, Hitman 2, there was so many failures, but at the end of the day, excellence was goddamn achieved. So say goodnight to Genoa. Bye, y'all.
Wanna play?
So, what is going on, guys? I am Black Ops Amazing. Welcome yourselves back to another Zombies video on the channel where we have episode 1 of our Zombies Q&A, where I'm going to be answering your guys' comments on the zombie storyline. Anything that you want to know we're going to try and answer in these videos. So if there's any questions you have, anything that you're wondering about, leave them in the comments and you could be featured in the next video. As always, if you enjoy, a like rating is very much appreciated. Make sure you subscribe for more zombies videos on the channel, and without further ado, when you're ready, let's go. So the first question comes from April Mayers, and this person says, in Shadows of Evil, who is the person in the middle of the rituals? So let's go back to Shadows of Evil. We know in that map we have to do 4 rituals. 4 rituals for our 4 characters, Nero, Jack, Floyd and Jessica. We do these rituals to get the gate worms, and then using the gate worms we get along with the summoning key, we can access the Pack-a-Punch room. But who exactly are the people we have to sacrifice in order to get the gate worms? Now before Shadows of Evil takes place, which is on April the 25th, 1944, the Shadow Man begins to manipulate our characters, and he does this by posing as people that they know, where he starts off by pretending to be a company executive. The Shadow Man tells Nero's lawyer that Nero's wife is taking out a substantial loan in his name, and that Nero only has 15 days to settle this before the company seeks reparation. And so, facing multiple debts due to his wife's spending habits, Nero decided to kill his wife and get life insurance to pay off the debt. Now, of course, none of that was true. Nero's wife never took out any substantial loans.
I worked hard to get here, and I was...
Nero was never in debt. It was the Shadow Man pretending to be a company executive who told Nero's lawyer that that was the case. And so, only having 15 days to sort this out, Nero thought that the best thing to do was to kill his wife, and that's what he did. And it's the same with the other 3 characters. With Jack Vincent, the Shadow Man pretended to be an internal affairs officer, where he tried to convince Jack's partner to admit that Jack plots to kill the snitch who could provide evidence against him. And so because of this, Jack killed the snitch. Again, none of that would have happened if it wasn't for the Shadow Man pretending to be people. The Shadow Man also posed as a film director interested in hiring Jessica for a leading role, where he told the producer that the part is hers. But she learns that a photographer has pictures of her that could compromise her job, and so she kills him. And then for Floyd, the Shadow Man posed as a journalist. The Shadow Man, being a journalist, suggested that Floyd is a journeyman fighter, which is an insult, and he said this to Floyd's promoter. And so, wanting to guarantee his shot at the title, Floyd decides to wear brass knuckles under his gloves and fights with Tony King, whereas we know Tony King was killed in the boxing match. But actually, the day before Jessica, Floyd, Jack and Nero killed these people, just a few hours before, they had a call from someone who could have convinced them to not kill these people. But because all 4 of our characters missed those very important calls, not knowing what they had to say, they all ended up killing those people. These calls that Jack, Jessica, Floyd and Nero missed an hour or 2 before they killed these people, if they were to pick up the phone, those deaths would have never happened. Nero missed a call from his lawyer where he was going to tell him that the documents that he received were actually forged and that there was nothing to worry about, which meant that Nero would have found out that his wife was never in debt because those documents were faked, because that's what the Shadow Man made up. And so Nero would have never killed his wife if only he would have picked up the phone an hour before, but unfortunately he missed it. It's the same with Jack. Jack missed a call from his partner in which he was going to tell him that he has his back with internal affairs and he has nothing to worry about, and so meaning that Jack wouldn't have needed to kill the snitch. Again, Floyd missed a call from his promoter in which he was...
Adventure awaits in the Season 8 Battle Pass. The Battle Pass features over 100 unique cosmetics to earn as you level it up. When you first buy the pass, you'll instantly unlock 2 brand new progressive outfits, Blackheart and Hybrid. Plus, if you opt in for the Battle Bundle, you'll instantly get Sidewinder as well. There are 100 tiers and over 100 rewards to earn, including new wraps, pets, emotes, and more. Remember, you keep all your rewards after the season ends. New in this season to all players is the Party Assist feature. Before a match, you can pick a daily or weekly challenge, and your friends can help you complete it. The Season 8 Battle Pass is available right now for just 950 V-Bucks. A new adventure awaits in Season 8. We'll see you in-game.
going to tell him that the fight was a success and that he had a shot at the title. And just before Jessica killed the photographer, she missed a call from her producer where he was going to tell her that he didn't have a good feeling about the director, which was the Shadow Man, and that it didn't work out. However, he has scored a lead in a musical that he and his partner are financing, which would have meant that Jessica didn't need to kill the photographer because the photographer wouldn't have compromised her job. The Shadow Man pretending to be these people caused Jack, Jessica, Nero and Floyd to kill. And we can also bet that the Shadow Man had some part to play in these characters missing those phone calls. Whether he cut the lines or did something, somehow we can bet that the Shadow Man made the characters miss those very important phone calls, which would have meant they didn't need to kill. But as we know, because they killed those characters, they then were sent to a twisted version of Morgue City. Shifted slightly from reality, they were told by the Shadow Man that they need to listen to what he says in order to pay for their sins. And so all four of these characters are tricked by the Shadow Man into performing rituals, where Jessica sacrifices her producer, Jack sacrifices his partner, Floyd sacrifices his promoter, and Nero sacrifices his lawyer. And as we know, when all of these rituals are complete, the Apothecans are then given access to Dimension 63. So these people that we see on the rituals in Shadows of Evil are the people that were close to our Shadows of Evil characters. They were good friends of our crew. They sacrificed Floyd's promoter, they sacrificed Nero's lawyer, we sacrificed Jessica's promoter, and Jack's partner. Some people thought the people on the ritual tables are the ones that our characters killed. So for example, Tony King. But that isn't the case. Instead of Tony King, the one that died in the boxing ring, oh, that rhymes. It is instead Floyd's promoter. So there we go, hopefully that answers your question. The next one comes from Stephen Para, hopefully I pronounced your name right, dude, but he says, Black Ops Mason, can you do a story of the magic or drops such as the Max Ammo, Insta-Kill, Double Points, Death Machine, you nerfs? So I believe he's saying, can you do a story, can you tell me the background behind the perk drops that we get in Zombies? Well, instead of doing a story of video, I will tell you right now. So in Gorokorovi, Dr. Monty this is literally the first time we hear from him, and he tells us a ton of information. And what he tells us is that actually he is the one who has been giving us these magic ammo drops, these perk machines, the insta-kill, the death machine drop, the max ammo, the little perk drops that we get when we kill the monkeys, the carpenters. All of these magic drops that we get on the floor are given to us by Dr. Monty. Considering that he is this godly figure, he is the one who can manipulate things and change things on Earth. He has also been giving us these magic drops. As well as that, he gives us the gumball machines, the magic chalk drawings on the wall, so we see the guns drawn on the wall. Dr. Monty is the one who put them there for our characters to use.
Where do you think all these magic weapon boxes come from? The chalk drawings on the wall, the magic ammo drops, the gumball machines? Do I need to go on, or do you get the message? I just hope you appreciate it.
Our next question is from C.Glasper Gaming78, and this person says, what would happen to Leroy if you did Richtofen's side of the Easter egg? So in Buried, as we know, there are two different Easter eggs that you can do. There is the Maxis side and the Richtofen side. Now, yesterday I did a full story of video on Arthur, or Leroy, if that's what you still want to call him. If you want to check it out, I'll link it down in the description. But for Buried, the map that Arthur's in, there are two different endings, like I said, Richtofen and Maxis. Now actually, the Maxis ending is canon to the story. That is the one that actually happens in our story. Yes, you can decide to do the Richtofen side if you want, but even if you do that, say if we were to carry on after Buried, it is the Maxis side of the Easter egg that would have happened in terms of the storyline. Max's side is canon, the Richthofen ending is not. So as we know, if you do the Max's side of the Easter egg, he basically tells our characters that they are all doomed and that neither the Earth nor its people will survive, leaving Leroy, along with the rest of the buried crew, to all die. Because Max's mind has been taken over by the Dark Ether, meaning he is evil, that would have meant Leroy, or Arthur, would have died. But if we go to the Richthofen side of the Easter egg, even though it isn't canon in our storyline, so basically that means nothing would have happened to Leroy, because this Easter egg, even though it exists, it technically doesn't, because it's not canon. But let's just say it was. Let's just say, what would have happened if Richthofen's ending was canon instead of Max's?
Finally, I am in control. The ether is mine to manipulate as I wish. The moon is now my own personal plaything. What have you done? I've won, Maxis. That's what I've done.
Oh, what about Samantha? Your actions condemn my daughter's very soul to eternal damnation. Even if you do not care for her, surely you wish to return to your own body.
Not really, no. Don't I already possess the power to leave this netherworld and re-enter the physical realm once more? I can choose any body I wish. As for you, Maxis, you... simply beats to be. I'm innocent! Toodle! Take a deep breath, Samuel. We're about to get a whole lot closer. Last I am... Oh, what's the matter? Corporeal? No. Physical. Whatever. I have my very own body. I can touch. I can feel. I can smell. Oh, maybe that's not such a good thing. What is that stink? Oh, Samuel. You're still here? Okay. This is a little awkward. It's really not that different how things were before, Sammy. We get to talk to each other, play games, have fun. It's really quite exciting. You'll like the fact that we're going to be eating more salad. That doesn't come in a bowl, but I do understand that. Just carry on as normal, and I'll try to leave you alone for a while.
Well, after Richthofen declares his victory and becomes the controller of the Ether's energy, he tells Dr. Maxis that you will cease to exist. And so, he kills him. Dr. Maxis no longer exists. He is gone. He wipes him from existence. And now Richthofen can transfer himself from the Ether, from controlling that energy, also down to Earth. But in order to do this, he has to take someone's body, and as we know, he takes the body of Samuel. So he gets inside of his head, and he begins to take control of Samuel, meaning Richthofen can also do whatever he wants on Earth, as well as up in the Ether. And because of this, Richthofen doesn't destroy the Earth. Obviously, he needs it to do whatever he wants. And so for that reason, we can assume that Leroy, if this was canon, would go on to live. Whatever he would do, we don't know. I mean, he's still technically trapped down underneath this ground. You know, coming from the 1300s all the way to 2025. I'm pretty sure this guy's not gonna know how to really live in this century. So yes, even though technically he wouldn't be killed like he would normally with the Maxis ending, if the Richtofen ending was canon, he would still be trapped under buried, although alive. He would probably die of starvation or something. I really don't know. But that is it for today's Zombies Q&A. Hopefully I've helped you guys out a little bit. Hopefully I've answered some of your...
Listerine Ready Tabs presents Seriously, What Is This? People have been wondering what new Listerine Ready Tabs are, so we'd like to clear things up. They're not gum, mints, dice, or candy. If you guess they're tabs that turn into liquid as you chew, so you can swish and clean your whole mouth instantly from anywhere, then you were correct. And that was a really good guess. Nice job. Introducing Listerine Ready Tabs. Bring out the bold.
Questions. Thank you very much for watching. If there's anything you want to know, leave them in the comments. Episode 2 should be coming in a couple of days. So I'll gather them up for you guys, make an awesome video. We should have some more story of videos, top 5s, stuff like that coming on the channel soon. Thanks for watching. Leave a like rating if you have enjoyed. Make sure you are subscribed for more zombies videos on the channel. And of course, we'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching and goodbye. So what is going on, guys? I am Black Ops Amazing. Welcome yourselves back to another video on the channel where today we are looking at the story of Arthur. Now, I've already done a video on the story of Leroy, but that was before we had the official timeline from Treyarch. A lot of people in the comments have been asking me to do an updated version, since a lot of things that we didn't know, a few things might be wrong or out of place in the original, simply because we didn't have this information. Now we can finally do a 100% correct story of Arthur video. Before, we didn't even know his name. The community just named him Leroy, so this should be an interesting new updated version of the story of Arthur. As always, if you enjoyed the video, a like rating would be very much appreciated. If you want to check out the original or any other videos in the story of series, I will link them all down in the description below. Definitely check them out if you are interested. Make sure you are subscribed, and without further ado, when you're ready, here we go. Many millenniums of years ago, in the beginning, there was only the Ether and the Keepers. Among them were two beings who would later be known by many names. One would be known as Dr. Monty, and the other known as the Shadow Man. And for years and years, it was only the Keepers, Dr. Monty, and the Shadow Man and the Ether who existed. However, one day, the Ether began to turn black. This darkness and the Ether began to take over, and soon enough, this dark Ether found its way into the heads of the Keepers, and it began to twist their minds. Once the dark Ether had infected the minds of these Keepers, they had then become corrupted, and these corrupted Keepers resented their normal Keepers, and so waged war on them. The Keepers and the corrupted Keepers fought between themselves. Luckily, during the First War, the corrupted Keepers were defeated, and those who remained were banished back to the dark Ether forever. Now that the corruption out of the Ether was gone, it was this time that Dr. Monty began to create life. He created planet Earth, a moon, and hundreds of different universes for life to exist in. And so the Keepers ascended to become the guardians of all dimensions through space and time, protecting Monty's creations, and more importantly, protecting the most powerful artifact in any universe, the Summoning Key. Though, as this was happening, as time went on in the Dark Ether, those corrupted Keepers that had been banished here slowly started to morph. They changed. Some of them began to gain tentacles, several different eyes, wings. They changed that much that they barely resembled anything of their former Keeper selves. And these corrupted Keepers would then be known as the Apothicons, though still trapped in the Dark Ether with no way to escape. As time went by, everything seemed to be going fine, with the Apothicons still trapped in the Dark Ether and the Keepers protecting all dimensions. thousands of years later, in 5 AD, knowing that Earth had a gateway to Argotha, the Apothicans sent meteors of element 115 to Earth. They believe that humanity that Dr. Monty created will one day use element 115 to wage war against themselves. And if that was to happen, they knew that that would open a rift, allowing the Apothicans to escape the dark ether. With 115 meteors being spread across the planet, it wasn't until over 1,000 years later that humanity started to mess with it. And in the late 13th century, the Apothicans escape the dark ether and enter Earth. And so on January 15th, 1292, the Great War between humanity and the Apothicans begins. And this war between humanity, the Apothicans and the Keepers goes on for years. One of the leaders taking part in this great war is known as the Wolf King, known for always having his two hounds by his side, fighting in this great war alongside the Keepers to help them defeat the Apothicans. In 1299, the Wolf King leads his kingdom into war.
I'm a close talker, so I was excited about all new Colgate Total. Do more for your whole mouth.
But as the king and his men drove into the centre of the Apothicans, hell blazed loose on the battlefield, and many of the king's men lost their lives. And just as the Great War seemed to be going in favour of the Apothicans, out of nowhere, suddenly 4 knights joined the war against the Apothicans. Wearing keeper tunics on their chest, these 4 heroes with their magic elemental staffs begin pushing the Apothicans back. And these heroes, along with the Wolf King, humanity and the Keepers, eventually on December 31st of 1299, Primus defeats the Apothicans, bringing the Great War to an end. With the Apothicans now banished back to the Dark Ether, before leaving, Primus tell the Wolf King to begin to build a castle. They tell him to build the castle of Der Eisendrache, and once they told him to do that, they were gone. Fulfilling the requests of these 4 heroes, the Wolf King now got to work, where he told the men of his kingdom who had lived and fought in the Great War to build this castle in this very location. And that's what they did. They spent years and years building the castle of Der Eisendrache. Someone helping in the construction of this castle was the Wolf King's servant, whose name was Arthur. Arthur, the servant of the Wolf King, would do whatever the king requested. Arthur, not having any family, and also not being very smart, and so not having anyone else, he saw the Wolf King as family. Even though he was only his servant, Arthur would do anything for his king. And so Arthur helped the king construct the castle. Once the castle was built, and the Wolf King was now living in it, Arthur, being his loyal servant, now lived in the castle along with the king. As a servant, doing little requests, we can assume helping him dress, bringing the king food, cleaning up, whatever task that the king wanted Arthur to do around the castle, with no hesitation, he would get it done. But just a few years later, in 1318, wars began to break out. Wars between kingdoms, different kings in Europe trying to take over lands. Another kingdom, we don't know who, but they began to invade the Wolf King's kingdom. And of course, this Wolf King, having defeated the Apothicans, having fought in the Great War, isn't just going to back down, and so, along with his men, goes into war against this other kingdom. But unfortunately, this time there is only one outcome, and this results in the Wolf King being killed, shot and killed by 2 arrows. And Arthur, the king's loyal servant, went to mourn by the side of the dead king's body, hunching his shoulders over, crying on his leg. With the Wolf King being the only person that cared and looked after, and the only person that Arthur looked up to, he felt that he now had no one. He was alone, by the Wolf King's side as he slowly died. Honouring the Wolf King's dying request, Arthur scattered and buried his bones in the grounds of Der Eisendrache, accompanied by the king's wolf. With Arthur now not having anyone, alone, not knowing what to do, he was now lost. On October 13th of 2025, due to the fracturing of the Earth, with Maxis having hit it with rockets, cracking the Earth open, destroying the Earth and along with it the rift, the Earth's fracturing triggers further temporal rifts, causing an 1800s American western town to teleport underneath a mining facility in Angola, Along with this, Arthur was also pulled through the rift from 1318, a day after the death of the Wolf King, also to the western town in Angolia, leaving Arthur now trapped in this western town, lost on his own. As you can imagine, going from 1318, a day after the death of the Wolf King, then being teleported along with an 1800s American western town underneath a mining facility in Angolia, he was lost. And after living in this town, searching through the houses that were empty and abandoned for food and water and drink for him to survive off, he did this for years. In fact, he did it for 10 years, surviving in this town, where eventually one day in 2035, finding a jail cell, he locked himself in, leaving him now trapped alone. Luckily for Arthur, on December 31st of 2035, the transit crew, due to request of Richtofen and Maxis, arrive at the old West.
Oh yeah, I'm saving tons with Metro. Metro by T-Mobile.
Western town, where they discover Arthur. They find him still locked in the jail cell. So they get the key, they free him, and Arthur does what he does best. As we know, he likes to help people, and so he helps our transit crew on their mission throughout Buried. He helps them to do whatever task they need to do, whether it's holding a zombie for them, attacking the zombies, bashing open barriers. Arthur helps the crew. And as we know in Buried, the transit crew activate the final polarization device in Maxis' favour, but because Maxis had been trapped in the ether for so long, he had become corrupted. Pretending to be this nice guy, Maxis was actually corrupted by the dark ether, where he revealed his true intentions.
The process has begun. Now I control the ether's energy. I can at last reach Agatha. Ah, you fool! Why did you listen to him? Regretfully, I must inform you that neither the Earth nor its people will survive. Ah, I tried so hard to warn you. Oh, God! Once the gateway is open, I will finally be reunited with my dearest Samantha.
Hello? Are you forgetting something? Even if your wretched daughter is still alive, she has my body!
If you are so eager to re-enter the physical world, Richtofen, I will grant you that fish!
And he told the transit crew that neither the Earth or its people will survive. He put Richtofen's soul inside of a zombie, and then when the portal to his daughter opened, Samantha and Maxis were reunited. Maxis had finally got what he wanted all along, which was to be reunited with his daughter. But Samantha, now witnessing the evil that had corrupted her father, she realised that this wasn't her father anymore. And so when a rift opened in Dimension 63 in 1918, she travelled back to that timeline, back to 1918 Origins, to try and fix this, to try and convince that version of her father, Maxis, to...
The future waits for no one, so we refuse to wait for it. We're not just pilots and engineers, we are pioneers. Today, battles are waged in nanoseconds, and planes are piloted from the other side of the world. We turn night into day, and fly missions in space. The future's not coming. It's already here. This is the future. Join us and be the future.
To help her, leaving this universe with our buried crew now trapped, Leroy trapped down here with them as well, Richtofen in the body of a zombie, Maxis left them all to die. This corrupted evil version of Maxis left the buried crew and Arthur to die. And that essentially is the story of Arthur. In the end, in Buried, he was, unfortunately, left to die. So, there we go. Hopefully you've enjoyed this new updated version. There's a ton of information here, and it's taken me so long to get this all together, but it was a really fun video to make, so hopefully you have enjoyed it as much as I have had making it. Leave a like, rate it if you have enjoyed it. It's always really appreciated, and you guys seem to love this series, which is amazing. Let me know in the comment section below, what other story of videos do you want to see? Also, I've now ended the series of Easter eggs you didn't know. That series is finished. There's really nothing else we can cover, which only leaves 2 series now going on this channel. The top 5s, we do have the zombie storyline one to finish, and also the story of episodes. I actually want to do a Q&A series where you guys ask me any question you want about the zombie storyline, anything you want to know in any video. I show your comments and just answer them. I thought that's something that we could do. As you know, I love showing your comments on videos and interacting with you guys, so if you have any questions for episode 1 of this Q&A series for zombies, anything you want to know, leave them in the comments as well. Thanks for watching. Make sure you are subscribed for more videos on the channel. That is the story of Arthur, and of course I will see you all in the next video. Thank you for watching. Who shall we cover next? And goodbye. So, what's going on, guys? I am Black Ops Amazing. Welcome back to another video where today we are looking at the story of Dr. Edward Richtofen. If you're going to enjoy today's video, a like rating as always would be very much appreciated. If we could shoot for over 3,000 like ratings on this video, that would mean an awful lot to me, but if not, it doesn't matter. It's totally up to you guys. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos on the channel, and without further ado, let's get into it. So if you haven't already checked out the previous story of videos on the other characters, then definitely go ahead and do that. To make it easier for you guys, I've made a full playlist which contains over 30 story videos on our characters. So if there's anyone you've missed or anyone you want to know about, more than likely I've already made a video on them. But if I haven't, if there's a character that you want me to cover, let me know in the comments section below. However, here we go. Let's look at the full story of Dr. Edward Richtofen. Dr. Edward Richtofen, otherwise known as the Butcher, the Doc, the German, or simply Eddie, was a German scientist that worked for Group 935. Since in Treyarch Zombies we hear the story of Richtofen from 2 different timelines, that means that he has 2 different personalities. The one of his younger self and the one of his older self. But we begin this story with the original timeline. On May the 10th of 1931, Dr. Ludwig Maxis formed a research group called Group 935. And as we know, 935 was formed and was dedicated to the study of element 115, a newly discovered meteor at that time.
Gentlemen, allow me to take this opportunity to welcome you to Group 935. This is a prestigious moment in the history of our race. You represent the future of technological advancement. You are the pioneers of human discovery. In your hands lies the destiny of mankind. In our hands is a great power, and with that power comes a price. You have volunteered to be part of this great experiment, and with that decision comes the responsibility of absolute secrecy. No one is to know what you do, where you work, what our research has uncovered, or what our purpose will be. You will have no further contact with your governments or with your families. Your decision to fully dedicate your lives to Group 935 is absolute. In your lockers, you will find your field ops manual, which will direct you should our manifesto get compromised. We cannot afford to let this power fall into the wrong hands, and therefore the field ops manual should be considered your Bible. Make your preparations now. A new dawn is beginning for mankind.
But 6 years before the discovery of Group 935, Dr. Edward Richtofen joined the Illuminati. And after working for the Illuminati for a few years, eventually, after meeting Richtofen, Maxis invited him to join his group. And so on August the 11th of 1936, Richtofen joined Group 935, acting on behalf of the Illuminati's interests. Richtofen didn't join necessarily because he wanted to, but more so for the Illuminati. He was going to learn Group 935's secrets, how they worked, what experiments they were doing, and then feed that information back to the Illuminati. And so that's exactly what Richtofen did. Richtofen and Maxis would go on to work together on many different experiments, and they began with teleportation experiments. Though they only had mild success. The subjects were teleported, but their chemical composition was altered, leaving them catatonic and changed.
Initiating test number 3. Subject is within the test chamber. Activate power. Oh my God. Do you hold yourself and clean that up? Test number 3. Unsuccessful. Test subject has been reduced to the same state as previous subjects. Clean up the test chamber and recalibrate the system. Let's do it again. Yes, Doctor.
And after doing these smaller experiments, Richtofen and Maxis then began teleporting corpses, where after being teleported for the first time, the corpse became resurrected. Because element 115 was needed to power the teleporters, when the corpse was teleported, the element 115 resurrected it. But the corpse, which had turned into a zombie, soon became rabid and began to attack Richtofen and Maxis, and so it was euthanized.
Stand up. Stand up! Good. Look at me. Over here. Good. Now walk forward. Excellent. Further. Keep coming. It's all right. Stay there. Calm down. I order you. Kill it. Bring me another.
Anyway, after the first few experiments, Richtofen then carried on his own with fellow Group 935 member Dr. Schuster, where during test trial 151, Richtofen and Schuster successfully teleported a walnut. And this was the first successful test where the chemical composition of the object was maintained through the process. This was the first time that when something went through the teleporter, it didn't change. But even though Edward personally thought his test was a success, Dr. Maxis wasn't impressed and told Richtofen that it was a waste of time. Maxis revealed to Richtofen that Group 935 would soon be funded by Germany because Group 935 were running low on money. But Richtofen worried this would lead to massive defections. So he and Schuster decided to continue their experiments behind Maxis's back. During this time of 1939, Richtofen also began to develop the Wunderwaffe DG2. Anyway, after being told by Maxis that his test was a failure, Richtofen and Schuster then conducted their first human test. Richtofen was so confident in its success that he volunteered himself. And so Edward stepped in the teleporter and Schuster activated the device. But instead of arriving straight back at the mainframe, Richtofen was teleported to a catacomb within the moon, where in front of him he saw a pyramid. As we know, this was the MPD. Unbeknown to him, this was the ether pyramid that was created by the apothecans and hidden on the moon eons of years ago, and Richtofen had discovered it. Though while inspecting the device, Richtofen touched it and was electrocuted. And after being electrocuted, Richtofen then began hearing voices in his head, the many voices of corruption, and one of those was the Shadow Man. Because he touched the MPD, and the MPD was created by the apothecans who were corrupted by the Dark Ether, this now meant that Richtofen had a link to the Dark Ether himself, and so the Shadow Man could now talk to him. Anyway, after coming into contact with the pyramid, the device then teleported him to an exotic jungle. This, as we know, was Shangri-La, where he spent 3 weeks discovering the temples. Due to Richtofen now being corrupted by the Dark Ether, he was gradually driven insane by an obsession to find Agatha, and so spent 3 weeks in Shangri-La searching for it. Whilst at the temples, Richtofen was worshipped by the natives, in which they built him an altar in his name. But after spending a few weeks at Shangri-La, learning about the Vril energy forces, on January the 23rd of 1940, Richtofen finally travelled back to De Ries, Group 935's base in Breslau, Germany, where he returned to Schuster with his plan to build a base on the moon, covering the pyramid he found. And so, Richthofen, Schuster, along with several other Group 935 scientists, all behind Maxis's back, began building Griffin Station. Around this time, Richthofen also decided that he no longer wanted to be a part of the Illuminati, and so renounced his involvement. When asked how he could abandon his obligation to the Order, he simply stated Teddy was a liar. And after leaving the Illuminati, Richthofen then continued with his work at Group 935. And on February the 1st of 1942, the moon base was completed. Richthofen named Dr. Groff as the lead scientist on the moon, and then returned to Earth to continue his charade with Maxis. Working alongside Schuster, Groff was left to discover how to power the MPD, which he managed to do a couple of months later when Schuster killed a rat near the device, where its death inexplicably began filling the tanks around it, charging the MPD. They reported their findings back to Richthofen, and Richthofen then began to send soldiers and scientists to the moon to be sacrificed. Their souls were used to charge the MPD. Although soon enough Maxis became suspicious of Richthofen. He noticed that Richthofen's behaviour had changed and that he was acting in a strange and aggressive way. And in a personal log, Maxis expressed concern over Element 115's impact on Richthofen's behaviour. No longer trusting him, Maxis wondered if it was a mistake to invite him to Group 935. However, accompanied by Sophia, Maxis then transferred over to the Kino der Toten facility to focus on creating an undead army for Germany. Since the Nazis and Group 935 had signed a deal, Group 935 would provide Germany with an undead army, and in return, Germany would provide Group 935 with the funding they needed. And so Maxis travelled to Kino der Toten to create their undead army. And in the meantime, his daughter Samantha was left in Richthofen's care. With Maxis now gone and Richthofen taking care of his daughter, on July the 15th of 1945, Richthofen travelled to the Siberian facility to do further research on live specimens. This Siberian facility was another base of Group 935's, known to us as Call of the Dead. And as Samantha's temporary guardian, Richthofen took her with him. And so the experiments went underway. Group 935 began transferring 3 test subjects for experimentation. A Soviet named Nikolai Belensky, a Mexican named Pablo Marinas, and a Japanese captain named Takeo Misaki, who were all enemies captured by the Germans. The Germans handed them over to Group 935, and then Group 935 sent them to Richthofen for him to do experiments. Though whilst doing his experiments, Richthofen accidentally killed Pablo. Following a spleen removal, it fell on the floor, and Richthofen accidentally killed him. Richthofen, whilst experimenting on his test subjects, also experimented on Samantha. What he did to her, we don't know. However, he did experiment on Maxis's daughter. After killing Pablo, Richthofen now needed a new test subject. And luckily for him, an enemy had been captured and would be brought in to be his replacement. This new test subject was the American named Tank Dempsey. As we know, Dempsey was captured at the Verrucht Asylum after trying to rescue Peter McCain, who was sent there to investigate Group 935. Group 935 found Tank, they captured him, and he was then sent to Siberia to Richthofen. Richthofen then began to document the personality traits of his test subjects. Dempsey's intellect seemed low, but his will was strong. Takeo was continuously staring at the floor, muttering what sounded like some kind of proverb over and over again. As for Nikolai, he began to respond to the stimuli, but only after injections of a new serum made primarily from vodka. Richthofen noted that their minds were almost entirely broken, with no memory of who they once were. Soon enough though, Maxis returned to De Rees, where he ordered Richthofen to come back so they could continue their work on the matter transference device. Richthofen returned to De Rees with Dempsey, Nikolai, Takeo and Samantha, where he placed the test subjects into sleep, ready to be awakened whenever he needed them. Obviously, Samantha was returned back to her father, but she never told him about the experiments that Richthofen did on her. Anyway, after returning and carrying on with their experiments, using element 115 prior to his experiments with the test subjects, Richthofen was able to create deadly weapons. Richthofen was finally able to finish his prototype of the Wunderwaffe DG2. Not only that, but Richthofen managed to create the Monkey Bomb and also shared the element 115 based elixir recipes with Griffin Station. And so Groff and Schuster were able to create Mule Kick. And after finally finishing the Wunderwaffe DG2, Maxis, though he initially promised to mass produce Richthofen's wonder weapon, didn't show any progress in this due to his obsession with creating resources for the war efforts due to the funding received by Germany and his close relationship with his assistant, Sophia. Infuriated by this was Richthofen's final straw. Richthofen had finally had enough of Maxis and his lies. He was fed up that he was getting distracted and that he didn't keep his promise to mass produce his wonder weapon, and so Richthofen came up with a plot to destroy Maxis and Samantha, vowing that he would no longer continue to work on Maxis's undead army. And along with the other Group 935 members such as Groff and Schuster, Richthofen came up with a plan. This plan was called Operation Shield, and it was to dispose of Maxis and his daughter. Later on October the 13th of 1945, Maxis and Richthofen performed teleportation test trials on test subjects number 3, 4 and 5. Though all of these tests failed, including test 5 where Maxis uses Fluffy, who as we know was Samantha's dog. For test 6, Maxis and Richthofen put Fluffy in the teleporter and then activated the device. But instead of teleporting back to the mainframe straight away, she didn't. Fluffy didn't return, at least not when she should have. Fluffy was missing for a few seconds, but when she did return, she was changed. Fluffy had become infected by element 115, turning her into almost a zombified dog. With her flesh ripped off, her bones showing, Fluffy had turned into the Hellhound. And just as she returned, Maxis' daughter Samantha walked into the room. She saw what Maxis had done to her dog, and so she ran into the teleporter. Maxis chased her into the teleporter, but this now meant that both Maxis and Samantha were trapped up a corner, with Fluffy quickly closing in on them. And Richthofen saw this as his perfect opportunity. After wanting to kill Maxis and Samantha for so long, Richthofen saw this as his chance, and so sealed Maxis, Samantha and the dog in the test chamber, and then teleported all three of them away. Richthofen thought that he had killed Maxis and Samantha, but as we know, that wasn't exactly the case. In fact, Samantha was teleported to the moon, while Groff and Schuster were continuing work on the MPD. As it was open, being scared, Samantha ran into the MPD, where she was drawn inside of it and became corrupted by the dark ether. Meanwhile, Dr. Maxis was teleported to the Crazy Place, where he developed the power to merge with electricity. After teleporting both of them away, Richthofen thought his mission was complete, and so returned to the moon, where he quickly learned that Samantha was trapped inside of the MPD, and so he ordered Dr. Groff to find Maxis, bring him to the moon, where he was to persuade Samantha to come out of the MPD. But things didn't go according to plan. Groff learned of Maxis' location, he went there, collected him, and then brought him to the MPD, where Groff told Maxis to tell his daughter to come out. And so, that's what Maxis did. Maxis persuaded Samantha to open the MPD and come out so he could talk to her. But once she did, instead of telling her to leave, Maxis gave her instructions to kill everyone related to Group 935. when he told her that, Maxis then killed himself. He shot himself in front of Samantha, and when he did, his soul then merged with the technologies on Griffin Station. Because Maxis learnt the power to merge with electricity at the Crazy Place, he knew that if he killed himself on Moon, he would then have the ability to merge with the technology on Griffin Station. And when Samantha saw him kill himself, this also made her angry, and so she went back inside of the MPD to fulfill what her father told her. Where now having control of the Dark Ether, Samantha unleashed the horde that Group 935 had created upon themselves. As we know, Group 935 had created an undead army for Germany, and so Samantha used that to her advantage, where she now began to control them and unleash the undead horde on Group 935 themselves. Richtofen, knowing what had happened, then quickly returned to Derice, where it was soon becoming infested by the undead. Richtofen quickly awoken his test subjects of Dempsey, Takio and Nikolai, and with no recollection of who they were or who Richtofen was, they agreed to help him, and the four would become known as Ultimus. With the facility quickly becoming overrun by the zombies, Richtofen came up with a plan, and the first step of that was to travel to the Rising Sun facility in Japan. And so that's what the Ultimus crew did. They travelled to Shinonuma, which is the first map officially in terms of story that we play in the Zombies storyline. The Ultimus crew travelled to the Shinonuma facility, which was run by Group 935 and Division 9, and they went there to recover Richtofen's diary. And they had to do that whilst fighting off against the undead. Since now all of the Group 935 bases had become overrun by the zombies, this now meant that Richtofen's plan was going to become a challenge. But he knew that along with Takio, Dempsey and Nikolai, that he could do it. After collecting his diary from Shinonuma, upon reading it, he then began to form his plan to defeat Samantha. And on October the 28th of 1945, Richtofen returned to Derice, where with his diary, Richtofen planned to use the teleporter to return to Moon and confront Samantha. Unfortunately though, whilst attempting to teleport to the Moon, Dr. Richtofen using his Wunderwaffe DG2 accidentally overloaded the teleporter, sending them through space and time, causing Richtofen to lose his diary. And so Richtofen was instead teleported to Kino der Toten, meaning he once again had to find his diary. Now trapped in the Kino der Toten facility, a place that Richtofen never knew about, after fighting off against the undead, unbeknownst to them, they then begin to receive help from Dr. Monty, who, as we know, was the god who created their universe. Not only their universe, but all of the universes that existed. Dr. Monty saw that the Ultimus crew were in trouble, and so decided to help them, but only in subtle ways, so that they didn't really notice. He added small changes in the background, such as chalk drawings of weapons on walls, helping Group 935 to come up with the ideas of Perca-Colas, and transporting them the perks, the Pack-a-Punch machine, just things that would help them to every location that they went to. Anyway, after fighting off against the undead in Kino der Toten, the Ultimus crew then find a lunar lander located at the theatre and use it to fly to their next location, in which it took them to the Ascension facility in Soviet territory, which is where Richtofen's diary was located. Though when the Ultimus crew did arrive at the Soviet Cosmodrome on November 6 of 1963, they came to find that Dr. Gersh, who was a scientist that worked at the Ascension group, was trapped in the Casimir mechanism. We know that a short time before they arrived here, Yuri Zavosky, who was Gersh's assistant, found Richtofen's diary, he began to read it, and when doing that, Samantha, who was then in control of the zombies, began to infect Yuri's mind. And when she did that, she then told Yuri to kill and get rid of Gersh. And so Yuri tricked Gersh into activating the Gersh device, hence why Gersh was now trapped in the Casimir mechanism. As for Yuri, as we know, he was teleported to the Pentagon, where he became the Pentagon Thief. And so, when it came to the date November 6 of 1963, and the Ultimus crew arrived at the Ascension base, Gersh was still trapped in the Casimir mechanism. And so he asked the Ultimus crew to free him.
Is it better we go, Yuri? The fact that you are evil from the slab again is reason enough to have you permanently removed. You don't have anything that will ruin this. Do not worry. You will not be disappointed. In fact, I'm sure you won't forget it. But I can't take all the credit. If you will do me the honors.
and the crew freed Gersh from the Casimir mechanism, where his soul then floated up in the air, left to wander the Earth. After doing that, Richtofen recovered his diary, where he learned what he needed to do next. And he needed to collect an artifact known as the Vril device. And he learned that it was located at the Siberian facility of Call of the Dead. And so that's where the group went to next. They teleported to the Siberian facility on March the 17th of 2011, where, as we know, George Romero was filming a zombie movie with 4 well-known actors. And partway through creating this movie, Samantha, who was in pursuit of the Ultimus crew, found out where they had travelled to and unleashed the undead horde on the Siberian facility. And so, since George Romero was filming a zombie movie, he thought that one of the zombies that Samantha unleashed on this facility was just one of the actors. As we know, it wasn't. It was a real zombie, and so that zombie kidnapped George and turned him into this. It turned him into what we see him as in Call of the Dead. Meanwhile, the rest of the undead horde killed all of the other members on set. All of the other members besides from the 4 actors. These were Sarah Michelle Gellar, Robert Englund, Danny Trejo, and Michael Rooker. These actors were now left to fend for their lives at the Siberian outpost. What happened to Richtofen, Takeo, Nikolai, and Dempsey though? Well, when they teleported to the Siberian facility, they accidentally trapped themselves. They were trapped in a small room. And so Richtofen wasn't able to acquire the Vril device for himself. And so asked the celebrity actors who were fighting the zombies outside to collect it for him, and that's what they did. The actors, after completing a few tasks, collected the Vril device, gave it to Richtofen, and then the Ultimus crew teleported to their next location, which was Shangri-La. The exotic jungle where Richtofen once teleported to in one of his experiments. Richtofen knew that Shangri-La contained the final artifact that he required to defeat Samantha, which was the Focusing Stone. They arrived at Shangri-La on April the 25th of 1956, where they discovered that 2 explorers named Brock and Gary, who were trying to find Agatha, had become trapped. They had become trapped in a time loop. And so, just like he did at the Siberian facility, Richtofen asked both Brock and Gary to help him to acquire the Focusing Stone. That's what they did. They helped Richtofen acquire the Focusing Stone, and once he got his hands on it, he then had everything necessary to complete his plan. And so Richtofen, along with the crew, teleported to his final location, which was Hangar 18 in Area 51, on October the 13th of 2025. Again, just like every location they'd been to, quickly becoming overrun by the zombies, the Ultimus crew then quickly run to a nearby teleporter, in which it teleports them to Griffin Station on the moon. Using the Vril device that he collected from Call of the Dead and the Focusing Stone from Shangri-La, Richtofen then fused them both together, which allowed him to complete his grand scheme. Using this, Richtofen opened up the MPD and switched bodies with Samantha, giving him full control of the zombies and the ether. Richtofen was now trapped in Samantha's body inside of the MPD, in which he had full control of the zombies, and Samantha was now trapped inside of Richtofen's body. With Richtofen now having full control of the zombies, Dr. Maxis, who was trapped in the computer systems, contacted Takeo, Nikolai, and Dempsey and asked them for their help to defeat Richtofen. Having seen that Richtofen had been playing them all along and had betrayed them, they agreed to help Maxis. But through helping him, this meant that 3 missiles were launched from the moon to the Earth, blowing it up, leaving it fractured and broken. They severed Richtofen's connection with the ether, but he still maintained control over the zombies. Over the course of the next 10 years, Richtofen and Maxis both attempted to use their power to communicate with the remaining residents down on Earth. Richtofen could talk to them due to his connection with the Dark Ether, and Maxis, as he was trapped in the computer systems, could talk to them through any radio. And so they both set to find remaining survivors on Earth to help them succeed, to get them to power up polarization devices. Richtofen's plan was to mend the rift in space-time and acquire full control over the ether, while Maxis's plan was to open Agatha and reunite with his daughter, Samantha. Richtofen, though, could only communicate with those who had eaten the flesh of zombies. And since the Earth had been destroyed, it was an apocalyptic wasteland. This meant that a group called the Flesh had formed, and the survivors in this group were cannibals. They ate zombie flesh. Since there was now very little food to eat on Earth due to its destruction, and also the Flesh believed that this was the only way to survive, this group ate zombies. And so this was Richtofen's only choice. These were the only people that he could contact, and so began to speak to them in their heads. Meanwhile, Dr. Maxis began to speak to other survivors through a radio system. These survivors believed that this voice that they were hearing was their savior. They believed that if they could find Maxis, find where he was located, that they'd be safe. And so a group began to follow Maxis. Both Maxis and Richthofen now had their own separate groups. But soon enough, there was a conflict. There was conflict between Maxis' followers and Richthofen's followers, the Flesh, and so both of these groups had a fight, leaving everyone in Maxis' group and the Flesh killed. They all killed each other. But there was one survivor of this battle, and his name was Samuel J. Stuhlinger. Stuhlinger, being the only survivor of the Flesh, was now the only person that Richthofen could contact. And so Edward told Samuel that in order to live, if he wants to survive, he needs to listen to whatever Richthofen tells him. And that's what he did. Stuhlinger, as we know, then bumped into Russman, who had stolen a bus from the abandoned Broken Arrow facility where he used to work. And so this now meant that both Stuhlinger and Russman were wandering the Earth together on the bus. And then around about a week later, they run into two more survivors who we know as Malton Johnson and Misty Brayton, where Stuhlinger and Russman picked them up at a diner in Hanford on October the 21st of 2035. And so, the transit crew is formed. This group now together were then contacted by Maxis, where he told them that if they want to survive, they need to complete the polarization device.
When I was a kid, I tried to collect as many cards as possible. The one Atlanta Hawks player that I would trade everything for would have to be the all-time great Dominique Wilkins. He's a legend in Atlanta, and so if you had to tell me to pick one player, it would have to be Dominique Wilkins.